is going on, guys, and welcome back to another North to South show here presented by Touchdowns to Home Runs. And I know, guys, I haven't been live in so long. I don't even know. I know it's sometime in September. It would have had to been week 2 or something like that. But obviously, I talked about it in previous videos. I went down with COVID recently, and that really knocked me down. Even though I was still able to go out and put up videos, I was not able to go live while I was in quarantine, which sucks. So I still was able to put out videos and everything like that. But then this past week, coming out of COVID and everything like that, my life was just so chaotic. My life was so chaotic, and I wanted to do YouTube. I wanted to get on and talk to you guys and make my picks and everything like that. And I just couldn't do it emotionally and physically. Like, I just didn't have time, and I was just so exhausted and just didn't have the energy and everything like that to be able to do it. And when I make content, like when I make these videos and stuff like that, I want to have that enthusiasm. I want to give you guys the energy that you guys deserve. And I just didn't feel like I was at that point this week. So guys, I apologize for everything. Missing last week, didn't post a single video, but we were back and we are going to continue on. The show must go on. The show must go on. And that's what we are here to do today, because since I've been gone, lots of interesting stuff in the SEC. Lots of interesting stuff. Have you heard about this team called the Arkansas Razorbacks, who's now the 8th best team in the country according to the AP poll? Have you heard of two, or at least in my mind, two top 10 matchups that are going to be in the SEC this week with some more blockbuster ones? Like, we're going to make our picks today. It's Tuesday. It's always when I make my picks. Just looking at the schedule, even the games that aren't the two blockbuster games, and these are blockbuster games, the games are still so good underneath it that this is the week of SEC football. A lot of people say, oh, college football is peaking in week 6 next week, October 9th or whatever you call it. College football is peaking this week, week 5. Be there. Be in front of your TV all day, because it is going to be absolute madness from 12 all the way till whenever the heck the Western teams finish the games. Madness will ensue this weekend. So, guys, definitely stick around. So what we're going to do today, I obviously mentioned it. I'm going to talk about my picks, and then I'm going to talk about week 6 and what I was telling you guys about earlier, and how that could be a big week as well, and how we could have a possible 1 versus 2 matchup in that week. More to come on that later. But so far, guys, appreciate you guys coming back. If you are in here, please let me know down in the comment section if you are here. Let me check who have we got comments from so far. We have Neo. What's going on? Appreciate you coming back. And I'm definitely feeling better. So I appreciate you as always for tuning in. But if no one else is in the chat, we will get started. And I'll start off with my first segment. As crazy as it sounds, as crazy as it's going to sound, as crazy as I'm going to sound personally, talking through this whole segment, have you looked at October 9th, week 6 in college football? Obviously you have. If you're a college football fan, you would have highlighted that week, no doubt about it, before the season even started. I mean, we have like Alabama, Texas A&M that week. I think we have Texas, Oklahoma. There's so many good games. I think Penn State, Iowa is also that week. I could be wrong about that. But like college football, week 6, October 9th is the blockbuster week. There is a game I didn't mention there. And there is a game that I believe after this weekend, I'm not saying that's going to happen. That's what you have to take into perspective before I start talking about this, because you obviously clicked on this video for a reason, because you saw what it's going to be about. I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm not predicting anything about the games that are going to happen this weekend, but I am just saying, if in a perfect world, these two scenarios do play out, we will see a 1 versus a 2 in week 6, October 9th in college football in the SEC. And it'll be two teams that before the beginning of the season, you would have said, I am absolutely insane if I told you in week 6 we're going to have a 1 versus 2 matchup. What first goes to your head? Oh, Alabama, Texas A&M are going to be playing each other. So it's just easy answer. What if I told you that those two teams were the Arkansas Razorbacks traveling to Ole Miss? Take with that what you will. Obviously, Arkansas plays a massive game this weekend. Arkansas goes all the way out to play Georgia in Athens. Not an easy game at all for them. But what we've seen from Arkansas in all the not easy games that they've already had to play is that they're able to step up to the plate, is that defense, their defense has really, really impressed me so far this season. And offensively, they're able to produce. KJ Jefferson, I talked about it after the Texas game. He looks like an SEC quarterback. And that's all Arkansas really needed this year, is because they had the pieces around him for him to be successful at Arkansas. He just had to be an SEC quarterback. He just has to be smart, and he just has to do his job. And look what happens when he does that. Arkansas finds himself in a top 10 spot. They're number 8. The Arkansas Razorbacks. I am not kidding you. The Arkansas Razorbacks team that lost 3 games a couple seasons ago is now the 8th best team in the country. Absolutely insane. Now they go to Georgia. Georgia, amazing defense. They got great offense. It's going to be tough for Arkansas to score. It's going to be tough for Arkansas to stop Georgia's offense. But I'm saying, if Arkansas pulls off another upset, which they've already done twice this season, and they beat the Georgia Bulldogs, Arkansas will find themselves as a top 2 team. Okay, where does Ole Miss come into this? How is Ole Miss going to be a number 1 team? Well, it's as simple as this. Ole Miss travels to Alabama this week. If we want to talk about teams that played Alabama the most competitive the last season, even I'd say over Florida. Of course, Florida had a late comeback, and it was a great game there. But if you want to talk about withstanding the whole game and really going back and forth the whole game, Ole Miss was that team last year to put up a battle against Alabama. Now, that game was at home for Ole Miss, but if you've seen the progressions that Ole Miss has made, not only offensively, they just picked up where they left off. I mean, they did exactly what they did last season. Matt Corral's only got better since then. He's tightened up his mistakes and everything like that. Matt Corral is definitely a Heisman favorite for me right now. And the rest of that offense, like guys like Jonathan Mingo, Braylon Sanders, Dontario Drummond, the wide receivers that they got over there is insane. So their offense is the exact same, basically. They're scoring 50-plus points every single game. No questions about it. But this Ole Miss defense is starting to get better. They're starting to find a rhythm, and that is where the difference maker could be in this game, because if Ole Miss was able to stop Bama 1 or 2 more times in that game last season, do we see Ole Miss knocking off Alabama in that game? I don't know. It's a hypothetical question. But what I'm saying is Ole Miss has the ability to go into Alabama and beat them this weekend. It would not shock me if Ole Miss goes into Alabama this weekend and beats them. Now, I'm not saying that Alabama is going to lose that game. I'm not saying that I'm picking Ole Miss over Alabama, because I'm not. If I'm being honest, Alabama still should win this game, but I would not be surprised at all if Ole Miss wins this. But Ole Miss is definitely capable of winning this game. If Ole Miss goes in and knocks off number 1 Bama, you look at this undefeated Ole Miss team who has finally their big top-tier win, taking down the big dog, the number 1 team. What questions do you really have left about Ole Miss? There's nothing. If you're able to go into Alabama and beat Alabama, you deserve to be the number 1 country if you are undefeated and has had a good of a season as Ole Miss has had so far. So that's where it comes in. Ole Miss gets Arkansas at home week 6, October 9th. Could you just imagine how crazy that sounds? Because I even sound crazy just talking about it. But I love the feeling at the same time, because you take a look back a couple months ago when this whole Texas-Oklahoma thing was coming out, and you're like, college football is deteriorating. College football is on the downward slope. We are going into a world now where the big brands of college football are rising up and the lower brands are falling. The college football playoff for the next couple of years is going to be Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma. Clemson, 2015 now, they're 2-2. And they're not making the college football playoff. It's as simple as that. Ohio State, they're not going to be the favorite in the Big Ten anymore. There's so many other teams that look like they have a better shot at the CFP than Ohio State this year. Oklahoma, for goodness sake, hasn't looked confident in one game yet this season. And Alabama is still Alabama, but that's not what I'm trying to say. We thought that the big brands were taking over college football, and it just feels like it would be a sign from God that college football is going to be okay, because we've seen all the craziness happen this season so far, that when we thought that all these big brands and money and all this stuff was getting in the way of what we loved about college football and everything like that, it all just kind of fell back and was like, this is why we love college football, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to rise up. You never know who's going to drop down. Maybe we haven't hit that point yet where the big brands are always going to stay the big brands. Maybe we have finally got some movement in college football. And I think for this season especially, it would be really fitting the theme if we somehow got to watch Ole Miss and Arkansas be the 1-2 team in the nation. Again, not saying it's going to happen. Georgia and Alabama are favored in those games for a reason, but I'm saying do not be shocked if one of those teams pulled the upset. I'm not saying both of them do, but wouldn't it just be something for college football if we could get that game? Wouldn't it be something for showing the future of college football in that a team like Arkansas, who was the 3-win team a couple seasons ago, Sam Pittman comes in, wins 3 games his first season, and then comes in next year and has his team already a top 2 team in the nation. And the same thing for Ole Miss. Like Lane Kiffin's only been at Ole Miss for 1 season. Wouldn't it be something if he's able to get his team to the top tier team in the country in 2 years? It would just be really, really, really awesome for the sport. And I think a really, really awesome thing. Obviously, not for fans of Alabama and Georgia for them to lose this weekend, but for the outlook of college football in general, it would look really, really cool if Ole Miss and Arkansas were at the top of college football. So that's all I wanted to talk about for that segment. Give me a second. I'm going to go get some water, and then we will be right back with you guys to give you guys my SEC picks. So obviously, stay around, stick around, catch a breath, and we will be right back. While I'm out taking a drink of water and catching my breath to bring you guys some more amazing content, let me tell you how you guys can contribute to the TDSTOHRS brand. Number 1, as easy as it sounds, nothing helps us out more than your constant support through watching the videos, liking the videos, being subscribed, and commenting. Your engagement is what is most important to us here at TDSTOHRS, and we appreciate your support. Number 2, channel memberships. Down below next to the subscribe button, you will see a button that says join. Click it to join one of our 2 tier levels. Each tier level comes with exclusive emojis and badges, and the upper tiers get exclusive content not available to other subscribers. Payments are monthly, and memberships start at $2.99 a month and only go up to $5.99 a month. 3. In the description, there will be a link for direct contributions to the channel. This is completely voluntary, and the funds you decide to forward us will be used to improve the quality of our content. Your support to the TDSTOHR brand means the world to us, guys, because without you guys, there is no channel. So this is our channel. Thank you for your constant support, and now let's get back to some great content. Let's continue on with the show. SEC picks, SEC picks, SEC picks. It is week 5. Week 5. Holy crap, I've already talked about it. The schedule is absolutely loaded. Even taking out the 2 blockbuster games, which we talked about in the prior segment, didn't really get into my prediction and who I think is going to win. But even taking those 2 games away, you look at the rest of the games that we have on this schedule, and you should still be excited as a college football fan in general to have these games on ESPN at 12 o'clock, on whatever have you, on... I don't know. I just lost my train of thought. Let's get back into it. Week 5, absolutely loaded slate here in the SEC. Take out the 2 blockbuster games, still got a great slate upcoming for you in the SEC. So, guys, these picks, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a really, really tough week to pick. This is by far the hardest week that we've had so far, but we're going to do it. And I am going to give you guys my educated picks because I'll be honest, I've already put some bets in on some of these games. Now, that is with the spread. That is spread picks, but I've already been thinking about most of these games for most of the week already. So I feel good about my stand on these games. Let's get into it because this week is unbelievable. Starting off at 12 o'clock on ESPN, a blockbuster matchup on 12 o'clock on ESPN. I love this so much. I love night games. Don't get me wrong. Like the 2 South Carolina games I've been to so far as a student have been both night games. And in September, the night games are amazing. Like I love it. But once we hit October, football is meant to be played at 12 o'clock in college football. I love 12 o'clock games so much, even though I don't like getting up early and all that fun stuff. Having a massive 12 o'clock game like this, it makes me smile. So at 12 o'clock, we have the number 8 Arkansas Razorbacks. That is not a typo. The number 8 Arkansas Razorbacks traveling to Athens to take on the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs. College game day is going to Athens. How great is that? College game day is going to a game that Arkansas is playing in. Again, just great for the sport. Everything that Sam Pittman's been able to do for Arkansas over there. How could you not be riding the Arkansas bandwagon right now? I know I am. I'm fully on the bandwagon. But again, bias aside, I have to make my honest pick here. Arkansas has been amazing, and they've been constantly proving people wrong. This defense has improved a lot, and they've shown that they are one of the most premier defenses in all the SEC. And what I'm most impressed about with Arkansas is their offense, and especially the productions out of KJ Jefferson, because he was the question mark for Arkansas this season, and he has stepped up to the plate and knocked off the whole state of Texas basically at this point. Who do I have in this game? As much as I want Arkansas to win this game, I really, really, really want Arkansas to win this game. Now, I got Arkansas plus 19.5. Arkansas will cover that spread. I'll tell you that. I took that. But in this game, straight up, as much as it is fun to cheer for Arkansas, you have to travel to Athens. Not an easy place at all. And Georgia's offense, even though they went up against Vanderbilt last week, and their defense is just cooking right now. Georgia's still on another level, as much as it sucks to say, because this Arkansas team is climbing the staircase, and they're climbing it fast. I still feel like Georgia is just that tiny bit above still that level that Arkansas needs to be at for them to be able to win that game in Georgia. If it was in Arkansas, we could be talking about a whole different ballgame. But since they have to travel to Georgia, I'm sadly going to take the Georgia Bulldogs in that game. 12 o'clock on SEC Network, Tennessee and Missouri. Like, this is a great game. You're not going to obviously be like circling your schedule for a game like Tennessee, Missouri, but Tennessee, Missouri, the fact that we get these games in between some of the big games and during the Arkansas, Georgia one, flip the TV on, have it on a secondary screen, because this is also going to be a good game. Tennessee has to travel all the way to Missouri. Obviously, Tennessee had that game against Florida last week. Wasn't the greatest performance. Obviously, Florida won. Missouri, on the other hand, they had the bad overtime loss to Boston College. I think Missouri is going to win this game. They bounce back. They're coming back to Columbia, Missouri. I still think Missouri is one of the better teams in the SEC East. Even though they did lose to Kentucky, I still believe in what Missouri is building over there. So give me Missouri over Tennessee in that one. But watch for it. It's going to be a close game. 3:30 CBS game, SEC on CBS. We have Ole Miss at Alabama. Give me a second. I got to get some water in me. I have to get some water in me for talking about this one, because this is an absolutely massive game. Do I have the guts to take Ole Miss here? Do I? Go Rebs. I am going to think outside the box, and I'm going to take Ole Miss here. I believe in what Ole Miss is building. I believe in the offense that they have. And as good as Alabama's been all season, as good as this Alabama defense is, as good as this Alabama offense is, have they been tested with the offense that Ole Miss has? Now, obviously, you can say the same thing about Ole Miss, because Ole Miss's defense hasn't faced anything near as good to Alabama. But Ole Miss's offense right now is just cooking on another level. Matt Corral is just cooking at another level. And you've seen with Alabama, this Alabama offense isn't perfect by any means at this point in time of the season. Obviously, they go out and they blow, who was it last week? Southern Miss out of the water. But before that, against Florida, they put up 31 points. Now, Florida has an amazing defense, but Alabama was not perfect in that game. It showed, because they had a chance to lose that game. Even though Alabama jumped out to a massive lead at the beginning of that game, Alabama still wasn't perfect in that game. Now, they're able to come out with a win. Obviously, a win is a win, but sorry about that. I'm feeling Ole Miss. I'm rocking with what Lane Kiffin's building. I'm rocking with how this offense is producing and everything like that. Matt Corral knows this Alabama defense. He went up against it last year, even though it looks different because they got a bunch of new guys out there. Ole Miss just makes every defense look silly. So I think that Ole Miss is going to be able to score enough to beat Alabama in Alabama. And I'm going with my gut here. I'm not trying to play the favorite. I'm not trying to do all this just to make myself look good or whatever. I'm not going with the easy pick. I honestly believe that one upset in either Arkansas, Georgia, or Ole Miss, Alabama will happen. And my gut is telling me that the Ole Miss Rebels will go and shock it off against Alabama. Give me Ole Miss. We don't talk about South Carolina anymore, but they are playing Troy at 3:30. So let's skip on to the next game. 6 o'clock, the Florida Gators take on the Kentucky Wildcats. Again, another amazing game. This game is going to be on ESPN. We're just blessed. We're blessed with an amazing slate of SEC football this week. Florida obviously took care of business against Tennessee. Kentucky took care of business against South Carolina last week. This game is at home. I feel good about Florida. I'm going to take Florida in this game. As good as Kentucky is, especially defensively, like if you don't think Kentucky's defense is one of the better ones in the SEC, I'm sorry, but you are sadly mistaken. Offensive production is just a worry for me about this Kentucky team right now. To go up against a top 10 team, I don't think Kentucky's going to be able to score enough to compete with Florida. Now, does that mean this game isn't going to be close? No, I think that Kentucky could hold their own at the beginning. But when you really get this Florida offense going, I think Florida will be able to step out on the board. And like Kentucky's offense, I don't think we'll be able to put up enough to beat Florida. So give me the Florida Gators in that one. 7 o'clock on the SEC Network, we have Mississippi State versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M coming off the rough loss to Arkansas. Offensive production is a huge issue for Texas A&M right now. You get the game at home after coming back from a tough loss. I'm going to take Texas A&M. They're still ranked. As much as this offense is struggling, I think this defense wins them this game because they're just that good. They can hold a team like Mississippi State to very minimal points, to the point where all Calzada needs is 1 or 2 touchdowns, and I think Texas A&M could still come out with the win in this game. So I am going to go Texas A&M, but they really got to find something on offense to get going. But I think this defense wins Texas A&M that game. Uconn versus Vanderbilt. I really don't know what to say about this game. It's 7:30 on ESPNU. I'll take Vanderbilt just because Uconn is like literally the worst team in FBS. A lot of people think they're the worst team in FBS, even though Vanderbilt isn't much further away from that spot. I hope for the sake of the SEC, Vanderbilt is able to win this game. So I'm going to take Vanderbilt there. And then finishing up on 9 o'clock, what a game to finish up the SEC slate. ESPN, Auburn versus LSU. Take a look at this ESPN slate. Arkansas, Georgia at 12. Then you have Florida, Kentucky at 6. And then at 9, you have Auburn, LSU. Before the season, I took LSU in this game. I thought that LSU was easily going to be the better team by this point in the season. I thought that with the home field advantage, it's going to be impossible for Bo Nix to be able to travel and go into LSU and come out with a win. I'm switching my pick, though. From what I've seen so far in this season, LSU has just given me nothing to be able to call them the winner in this game. Because Auburn, even though Auburn struggles on the road, especially going to LSU, well, last time they played LSU, they played a great game, so forget what I just said. But Auburn typically on the road, Bo Nix typically on the road has not been able to perform well. I think that changes a bit in this game. I'm not saying that he goes completely mistake-free, but I think he does it enough to get Auburn the win here. And obviously, you have one of the best rushing games in all of the country right now over there at Auburn. The defense is playing amazing. So give me the Auburn Tigers over the LSU Tigers in Death Valley. So those are my picks, guys, for week 5 of college football. Going to be an amazing week. Enjoy the weekend. That's all I can say. Be in front of your TV, be at the stadium, be whatever. Just make sure you are watching because madness will ensue this weekend. So, guys, thank you so much for showing up to another North to South show. Appreciate you guys as always. Like the video, comment, subscribe, and come back next time.